Welcome to CLIC Connect. I'm your host, Craig. Season 10. I've got Lan Elliott joining me today. I cannot wait. But we do have to thank our production partners. Red Roof Franchising. Give Matt Hostetler a call. They'd love to hear from you. They've got a soft brand. They've got their extended stay and their world famous economy brand. They've got a lot of stuff going on right now. If you're looking for a new brand, give Matt a call. Let him know that producer Danny and I sent you. They'd love to talk to you and see how they can help you. With that said, we've got Lan Elliott, and we are going to be talking about holding. We're going to be talking about hotels, hospitality, women in hospitality leadership, speaking engagements, deals, insurance, and so much more. I got to bring her out right now. Lan, how are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you, Craig.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I've just been on pins and needles waiting for this show. So thank you so much for making time out of your busy day to join us. Thank you.
Absolutely. I always enjoy spending time with you, so I've been looking forward to our conversation.
We have great conversations. We really do. They are fun, they're entertaining, they're informative. So let's get right into it. Lan, would you please tell the audience about yourself and your company?
Sure. I'm the co-founder and principal of Acacia Holdings, which is an entity that invests in hotels, but I didn't start there. I started as a hotel real estate consultant where I helped other companies understand what their hotels are worth, help them value it, help lenders and other people who are looking for strategic analysis on their projects. And then I discovered the world of hotel ownership, and I thought what I really want to do with my career is be in acquisitions, buying and selling hotels. And I was fortunate to spend 10 years at Host, where I got to buy and sell a lot of amazing hotels. And then I went to the brand side, the dark side, as we used to call it. And I was W in Europe, expanding their footprint in Europe, Africa, Middle East, and then came back during the recession and started Acacia to invest in hotels with my mentor from my Host days. And then I did a stint at IHG for a number of years, going back to the brand side. And then in this current chapter, I'm technically back with Acacia, but I'm spending most of my time focused around efforts to advance women in hospitality leadership. And that's how I met you. I have a podcast, which we're looking forward to having you on, Craig, called It's Personal Stories. I also work a lot with Rachel Humphrey on her Women in Hospitality Leadership Alliance. And I'm also teaching an online class around introduction to hotel ownership to bring the real estate side of the industry to many more students that are able to access it now.
Love it. I love that idea. And I love what you and Rachel are doing and all of the people that are helping to support the Women in Hospitality at Alliances. And I coined it. They're bigger than the NFL. Okay. So everybody should check out their website for sure, but we'll talk about that a little. So, Lan, state of hospitality. What do you think of the market right now? Deals, deal flow, insurance.
Well, I think it has changed dramatically in 2 months, maybe even in a shorter period of time. When we were at Alice in January, there was a lot of optimism that there were going to be tax cuts and opportunities for growth. And I think with the looming tariffs that are coming, there has been a lot more uncertainty. So just the short period of time between the Alice conference and the Hunter conference, you see a big sea change where a lot of the big players are back to wait and see mode. And I know the tariff plan is getting announced later this afternoon, and we'll see what comes of it. But my guess is that it will take at least another 6 months before we see how things shake out. And uncertainty makes big players want to pause. And I think the exuberance of January is very different now. And we're waiting to see what the customer does in terms of travel. And that will drive where we go in terms of transactions. Certainly interest rates. We know interest rates are unlikely to go down this year, so that's not good news. But we're definitely on pins and needles to see where the industry goes in the next 6 months.
Absolutely. What are you anticipating the effect with our insurance carriers? We have an episode coming out that actually it was fairly good news. They were able to get an 18% reduction for some of their clients on some of their pricing. So I think that's going to be our silver lining is working with your insurance carriers.
Yeah, I think the last couple years have been pretty daunting in terms of the massive jumps in insurance premiums that owners have been seeing. It was a pretty big shock. I remember one of the major players a couple years ago said that they had blocked their or had purchased their insurance for the following year, and they thought they were doing pretty good with a 40% increase. And that was just astounding and scary. And they are a huge player with a lot of pull. So there wasn't much hope for the smaller guys. But I do think with more people coming into the insurance arena, there was a period there was not a lot of competition. I think there is more competition that is entering. And so we're starting to see rates come down a bit, which is great. If we can make sure there are no big natural disasters, that will also be super helpful for the next few years.
I agree. Great. And it's also, I think you're going to have to take into consideration the recommendations of their inspectors. One thing to have a nice flat parking lot all around the hotel, but you've also got to take other items into consideration. Are you more of a ski in, ski out resort, and during the summertime you get the hiking crowd? Do you have a fire suppression system outside of your structure? Do you have evacuation lanes set up? I have various other things that cost us, but in the long run, that little prevention. Construction. We've got about a 49% increase in materials at this particular point in time prior to or subsequent to 2019. And I think labor is a problem with everything else that's going on right now. Are you going to see projects delayed? Are people going to start, crying to the brands that they want to, put off their PIPs for a while longer? I don't know.
I think for a lot of hotels, existing hotels, they've been putting off the PIPs, as you mentioned, for a long time. And I think the PIPs are not getting less expensive. And I wonder where they're going to get all the labor to do all of these PIPs that need to get done. But I think where owners are going to start doing the PIPs is, despite being pushed by the brands for many years, when they start seeing they're losing market share, then they're going to really have an economic reason to go ahead and do those renovations. So I think that's what will happen on the renovation front. I think in construction, it's been a tough road since the pandemic. We don't do a lot of construction, or any construction, I should say, at Acacia. My mentor, who we partner with, had a saying which was coined from someone else that goes, "You can always spot the pioneers by the arrows in their backs." So we like to be the second, third, fourth owner of a hotel, preferably. And we like to take big, ugly convention hotels and renovate them and give them a new life. That's really more what we do. But I do think in terms of new construction, very little has been done since the pandemic. And
Yeah.
I think there are some guys that have figured it out, but I don't think it's going to dramatically change in the next period. I think acquisitions will definitely come back first.
I agree with you. Yeah. And my feeling, look at San Francisco, okay? Office space is being gobbled up. So people are coming back. Those hotels that you saw all the doom and gloom on, could be some opportunities in that market. I mean, our friends at Sonesta renovated the Clift and put a lot of money into it last year or year before, and I think they're doing really well with it right now. So I think that's a market. Goes away, it comes back. Kind of like an episode of I Love Lucy. San Francisco always goes away, but you can always find it on another channel. It's coming back.
It always does come back around, just like the hospitality industry, right? There are downturns, but we always come back really strong. I do think there are a lot of headwinds of doing business in California and San Francisco's like that in terms of labor
Yeah.
and unions being very strong in that particular market. So we haven't played as aggressively in San Francisco for a few reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and everybody's got those reasons. And it's interesting. But then all of a sudden, like snap of a finger, everybody's going, oh, wait a minute. I need to really seriously look at this market again. And there was just a 15% price hike in the asset.
You don't want to be the last. You don't want to be the last one to the party.
No.
You don't want to be the first one either.
Yeah. Exactly. That midway point, is pretty good. We were lucky enough to have you and Rachel Humphrey open up the 8th Annual California Lodging Investment Conference. Women in Hospitality Leadership. Critically important. There's going to be a lot of this conversation. Speaking engagement. I love your rule that, yes, we do have women that are qualified to be on panels, and a bunch of people out there need to start looking at this. And Rachel had just by accident, or not by accident, but sent me the link for your speakers Monday. So I got to scroll through, I'm going to say 2/3 of that 1,500 to 1,700 person list. And I was impressed. I had to take some phone calls, so I didn't get back to finishing it. But I got to tell you, you've got some great people on there. How did you put this all together? I mean, it's really a benefit for the entire industry.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. And first of all, thank you for inviting us to speak and talk about the Alliance and the speaker directory at the CLIC conference. That was a big honor for us to be on the main stage doing that. But the speaker directory came out of an effort where we wanted to see more women on the podium at industry conferences. And working collaboratively with some of the big conference organizers, we said, how could we get more women on the stage? And there are a number of barriers to getting women on the stage, but the first one they always mention is there are no women. And we felt that that was a bit of a myth. Maybe just everyone has different people in their Rolodex. But what's beautiful about hospitality, I think, is that most people are one degree of separation. You can go through, call somebody who is likely to be able to put you in touch with someone. So we just knew that that was a myth. And we said, let's see what we can do in terms of putting together a list. And we took, I think it was 4 or 5 people's Rolodexes, we don't call them that anymore, contact lists together and put them into a spreadsheet. And what started out as 700 names in this list very quickly increased over time, over the last few months. It's just organically grown since we launched it at the end of July. And it's been amazing. It's got women from all areas of the industry, from all around the world, and at all levels of seniority. And we created it in a way that you could filter the women on the list. So if you wanted someone in real estate in South Florida, you could go in and put those filters in and then download a spreadsheet right away with all of the links to their LinkedIn profiles and be able to review a number of women who were potential speakers.
I think that's great. And, from the beginning, very first California Lodging Investment Conference on our panel. And Jackie Collins, Gallagher, was on our very first panel at our very first conference. So that myth that there are not women available is myth. Ignore it. Forward. Go to the website that Lan and the team have set up for women in hospitality leadership, and the speakers there. They're excellent speakers. I was surprised the amount of people that I knew on that list, and and I really happy to see, you know, it's just points of view are very important in our industry. We are charged with safety and the rest of the traveling public, and that comes with a whole lot of different. And you know what one company does in hospitality, another one may try and emulate, or maybe not, or some sort of hybrid. So again, always do. And I think that's one of the best parts of hospitality and commercial real estate aspect of hospitality. You and I both have a deal background. That's where we thrive. We love that hunt. Okay. And, not to sound too much like a barbarian, but we like to eat what we kill. So let's get that deal closed. And the wealth of information that is in your speaker engagement and the diversity is second to none. So I really suggest that everybody go there, find your speakers, and have a great conference. Okay. And if you need some help with that, you can contact me, and I can contact Lan or contact her directly.
And you can also go directly to our website, the Alliance's website, which is whlalliance.org. And you can go find the speaker directory and request access to it. It's free. Rachel wanted to make sure that access to the directory was as frictionless as possible.
Perfect.
And it's great, not just for looking for speakers, but if you're looking for quotes for an article, if you're a journalist, if you're looking for podcast guests or advisory board members, there's lots of different great uses. We found recruiters who think that it can be useful for their searches. So lots of great ways to access and utilize it.
Love it. How did you guys build this alliance? How did you, and the strategy for growth for women today, but also tomorrow? I mean, this is going to be a lasting legacy, and I think it's one of the best things that I've seen in a long time. So how did you guys do? I mean, was it, was it frustration? Was it, well, wait a minute, frustration is leading to a resolution, and all of a sudden all the light bulbs started clicking?
They say some of the greatest ideas are so obvious in retrospect. I look at what Rachel Humphrey has created with the Alliance, and this is really her story. But as she tells it, she had wanted, when she left AHOA, to get involved in women's organizations to help advance women in hospitality leadership. She had seen that we weren't making as much progress as she would have liked. And she was talking to a number of different organizations about which organization she could join. And she concluded that the one thing that was missing was an organization to tie all the various organizations together. And being the genius that she is, she started the Alliance. And the idea was that we're stronger together. We're never going to be working against one another. And that if we can connect, join forces, we can be even more successful. And the speaker directory is an example of that. I came from a different organization. We were within the Alliance, and then another organization, Rise Up, said, your Excel spreadsheet could be a website with filters. And so we kind of built on each other's ideas, and working with Rita Varga and her Rise Up organization, we were able to make the website and make it beautiful and very functional. And so I think this idea of the Alliance is just being able to collaborate and support one another. And it's grown in a pretty short period of time. It's now over 34 organizations within the Alliance.
Love it. Love it. Who were the first organizations that you guys approached to be a part of this?
I'm not sure. I think you're going to have to ask Rachel
I
that.
stumped the band? Wait a minute.
I I think when I went to my very first meeting when I met Rachel, she had just formed it, and there were probably 15, 20 people around the table at
Uh,
Alice, and it was the first time I had ever met her, and we had been both of us in hospitality for a long time, but we just had different groups of people that we knew.
yeah,
So that's been something wonderful, as well as we also are part of the It's Personal Stories hospitality podcast.
yes.
It's with four of us recording interviews. It's interesting to see how diverse our networks are, and we all bring different things to that.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the best things of your podcast is the diversity of hosts and the different guests that you've got. You've constantly got creation going and content coming out, and the overlapping factor of always is hospitality, and I love that. And I just that's just the way to go. I congratulate. Um, I shared an article with you, and I don't know if this person at JP Morgan got in trouble or not, but they had a comment in there that women are unlikely to reach parity with men for 134 years. I find that highly disturbing. I okay, I there's no way I'm going to see that if that's true, okay? And I was raised by a mother who said her gender would never stop her accomplishing whatever she wanted to accomplish. And she went from being a night typist to an executive to an owner. Uh, during the space of her career, and she was always a role model. My father was as well, um, and I just find that 134 years as being unacceptable. Besides, I mean, what were your impressions when you read that?
I think there are a lot of different factors that are out there, and you can look at slice and dice it lots of different ways. I think if you look, for example, at compensation, that has women have trailed men for many, many years, and it continues to be very different. And most of the time, when you look at these studies, they say, yeah, but the reason for the differential is that women choose careers that don't pay as well as men. And I thought, okay, but I didn't choose a career like that. I chose real estate, which was a very male dominated side of the industry. And what I thought was really interesting in that particular research is they said when you control for all the factors, and it's really just women's compensation versus men, women are still underpaid 8% compared to men, even in the same kinds of jobs. So we still have more work to do. When you look at hospitality specifically, there are 16 men for every woman that's a CEO. And then if you look at the real estate side, CIOs and CDOs, it's 27.5 men for every woman in that role. I'm hoping it's going to start getting better. I'm starting to see some hopeful notes with fabulous women who are friends get roles as CIOs recently. But I think it's got to continue because the trend has been going in the wrong direction. If you look at 2019 before the pandemic, there were, I believe it was 16 men for every, I'm going to do this wrong. 19 men for every woman who was a CIO, CDO, and now it's 27.5. So it has gotten a lot worse just in the period of time since we went into the pandemic.
And this is a good transition. We also shared an article. Women in hospitality leaders hold 1 in 4 seats, but it's not the CEO or the COO. Um, that has to change. Has to. What can we do as people who love our industry to help promote this, get this accelerated?
I think where you see women making strides into the C-suite, it's more on the commercial side, but it's also a lot in HR, in legal. You don't see it as much like we talked about the CDO, CIO roles. I think there is something to be said for mentoring more different looking people in line positions rather than staff positions, right? The positions that are really going to help you get to the top job are not necessarily through legal or HR. And so where we could get more women and other people that look different into roles that are revenue generating on the deal side or quantitative, like the CFO kinds of roles. Those kind of roles really lead to the C-suite, and where you see women who are CEOs, that ends up pulling more women further up in the organization. It's probably a combination of mentorship, but it's also going to be because representation matters. Because when you see women in those senior roles, you start to dream that that's a role that you could raise your hand for and go for.
It is. And you and I have had brief conversations in the past. I mean, you've got a lot of people that are aging out like me, various others. So there's some opportunities coming in a, I think, a relatively short time. Um, you know, I also think you've got a lot of people out there that don't have the fight in them to go through another down cycle. And I think that's going to be an accelerator as well. And, you know, I've been a proponent of education and pushing our industry because, frankly, we've just done a horrible job at recruiting for decades. And it's something that's going to take all of us to fix, to be perfectly blunt. You know,
I definitely agree. It's actually a conversation I was just having yesterday with a recruiter, and he has a lot of people who are looking for those analysts that have been out 2 to 3 years. And I thought, you know, every time we have a downturn, everyone stops hiring entry-level analysts. And
yeah.
then when the deals come back, they look around, you know, 4 or 5 years later, and they say, where are all the 2 to 3 year analysts? And I said, well, you let them all go. And so they're doing something else now. And so the few people who kept their jobs, the few companies that kept those entry-level analysts or who hired entry-level analysts, those people are now very, very valuable. And we see it right now. People are trying to hire people who have 2 to 3 years of experience. Guess what? That was the middle of the pandemic. And there isn't that flow of people because we stopped making analysts 2 to 3 years ago. And so there are not as many 2 to 3 analysts, 2 to 3 year analysts. And I think it's something as an industry, we know it's cyclical, but we need to stop waiting for someone else to grow those young people. We need to be much more intentional to say, we know our industry is cyclical. Compared to what other people are paid, they're not that expensive. We need to invest in the future of our company. If we think in 5 years, we want people who are going to be doing this work, we need to keep it in our plans to continue to hire people out of schools, out of real estate programs, hotel schools with real estate programs. And we need more hotel schools to be offering real estate as an option. And that's one of the reasons I started teaching my intro to hotel ownership class, to be able to bring that to many more students and schools that aren't able to offer that material. But
I think that's brilliant. That's exactly where I wanted to go next, is this program, because I know whatever the discipline is, all the colleges and universities are having a downward tick. And now for 1 year at USC, it's $100,000. Okay. We need the help of the educational system in this nation, and perfectly honestly, international, This is a business that's international. Go anywhere you want. Some of our best leaders started out doing other things in the industry, whether it was dishes, a doorman, a bellhop, whatever, working the front desk. And you can take your career in hospitality as far as you want to. There are opportunities. I think the hotel schools need to be more open with business schools and get that cross pollination going. Tell us about your class. I think this is a brilliant idea, and certainly its time has arrived. Thank you for
Thank you. I started looking around at how do we change the makeup of the people in hotel real estate because of the statistic we had talked about. And I thought we need to open the funnel wider and bring more people into hotel real estate. And how do I get them interested? And for me, the spark first came when I went to hotel school and then discovered I didn't want to be in operations. And I thought, what am I going to do with myself? And I took a class that on the first day, the professor, who was a hotel architect, turned off the lights and flashed photographs of amazing resorts in Hawaii. And I thought, that's what I want to do. That's the career I want to be in, is being a part of bringing to life these beautiful hotels or bringing older hotels back to life by reinventing them. And I thought, how can I give that spark to more students? And I did a bit of research, and there's maybe a handful of hotel schools that teach hotel real estate. And so by and large, most students in hospitality schools don't even know that real estate is a thing, haven't thought about it, haven't thought about a career in real estate. And they don't have the faculty, and education, as you mentioned, in general is under pressure. There is the population cliff where enrollment is down nationwide, and they don't have the resources to go and find the faculty to teach it. So I thought, how can I create a class that I can scale and offer to many schools at the same time to give them that spark to say, hey, this is a career I want to go deeper in. But once I do that, I am going to need the industry to back me up by giving students more internships, more opportunities for entry-level jobs.
That is something I'd be glad to help you. So
Thank
we
you.
can use my platform, your platform. You and I can go do a tour of hotel school. I might bring a film crew with us, because it might be a couple of really great episodes for not only my show, but yours as well. So
the students are incredible.
yeah.
So I'm sure it would be really interesting.
Absolutely. Lan, this is the saddest part of the show for me. We got to say goodbye. You are welcome back anytime you can make time for us. And if you would like to contribute an article to our blog, I would love to have you as a writer for that anytime you can. And I want you to come back soon.
I'd be happy to. Thank you so much for the invitation. Always wonderful to talk with you, and so glad that we've gotten to know each other over the last year.
That's the best part of our industry, is the people that we let into our lives. We are so lucky to work with the best of them. It doesn't mean we don't have some personalities that are kind of but most of our people are really, really good.
They absolutely are. We have the best industry. It's why people come and stay for a really long time.
Exactly. Lan, how can people get a hold of you?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and you can also reach out through our podcast. It's Personal Stories, a hospitality podcast. So love to connect.
And the website for the Alliance?
Yes, and the Alliance website, whlalliance.org.
Thank you, my friend. Absolute pleasure to have you on CLIC Connect.
Thank you so much for having me on. Always great to see you.
Take care. What a great episode. I got to tell you, Lan Elliott is one of our very best leaders. Reach out to her on LinkedIn. Find out about the Alliance. and there'll be more coming. So I'm just so thankful she was able to make some time for us today. And I want to thank you, our audience, for joining us today. And also, I want to thank our production partner, Red Roof Franchising. Without them, without you, without our guests, we don't have a show. I don't know what producer Danny and I'd be doing otherwise. So thank you for joining us today. Call Matt Hostetler. Let him know that producer Danny and I sent you. They'd love to talk to you about a brand conversion and help you. They're doing a lot of really great things right now with their soft brand, with their extended stay brand, with a new prototype, and their world famous economy brands as well. So give Matthew a call. Let him know that producer Danny and I sent you. And as I'm fond of saying, be kind, share your knowledge, go be amazing.